Okay, hi, it's Chris Petri. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming by. I'm really glad that you're here, and we're going to do some painting. We're going to have some fun. We'll do a little drawing. We're actually going to do a sunny streetscape scene. This ought to be fun. We're going to use the white of the paper. I actually have my phone here, and I was looking around, and I found some interesting pictures online. I guess, going online, there's just vast amounts of interesting materials we can find. So, on our laptops or our cell phones, our electronic devices, we can look up pretty much anything. We can use art for references, so we can look up any watercolor artist, look at their paintings, and then, practice up on their style. We could look at just photographs and practice on those, create our own ideas. This is what we're going to do on this particular video, is we're going to be creative. We're just going to look at a couple pictures on our cell phone, come up with something that we like visually when we look at it on our cell phone or our laptop, and then we're just going to use that to just have a little practice time, a little fun time doing a nice sunny streetscape scene. All right, so let's get into it. So I went on my cell phone, I looked around, I found something similar to this, and then what I'll do is I'll use that for my reference. And that's all we have to do is be a little creative. We can use magazines as well, newspapers, really the sky's the limit on what you can use for your reference material. The thing is, I want everyone to sort of get used to trying to do different research material on coming up with ideas to create for your paintings and your practice compositions, because that's a great way of just sort of being quick on your feet with watercolors. So we'll take this cell phone, we'll put it over here, and then we'll zoom out. Sorry about that technical difficulty right there. We have to reset our focus and our zoom on our camera, and that's good there. Okay, so I'm going to do like some simple windows and doorways, and maybe a planter or something like that near the doorway. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start out. This is our rectangle. We're doing a landscape orientation for our painting, and we could do this also in a vertical or a portrait style. We could turn our paper the other way and go vertical, so it's more of a portrait style. So it's up to you how you want the painting to look. But since this is a composition, and we're going to just practice on this idea of sunlit, sunny streetscape scene, we're going to get some ideas here. So let's say we'll start off with our usual good habits of we'll put our light insignia here, lights coming from here. Even on a cloudy day, you'll see shadows. So on a real bright sunny day, we're going to see obviously a lot more shadows and darker shadows. When it's a cloudy day, sometimes if it's really cloudy and the clouds are very dense, we might not see all that much shadowing. But in any case, we'll make this a sunny day. So we'll have a bright source of light. So the light's coming from this direction across. And then let's kind of get an idea of where, let's make our door. So I'm looking at a photograph. Let's make the door, and you can adjust your design. So if you have a photograph you like, you can change it around a little bit and adjust things a little to the left, a little to the right. The door in the picture was in the center. I'm going to make it a little bit to the right. So we'll say the center of the door is going to be here. And then from there we can work the rest of the information from that point. So we're going to put the door not in the center, but a little bit to the right here. So let's start out. We're going to have we'll pretend there's a sidewalk here in front of the building. And I'm just going to put some light lines going across for the sidewalk. And then we'll do our doorway, and maybe there's some steps by the doorway, so we could put those in first. That should be good. A nice city-style doorway, maybe a winged header over the top. And this is going to be all old mortar and stone and cement facade on the building. And then we'll put the doorway in, and there's the door. And then we can make a and you could just take your time, and so whatever you find as far as your reference material is, like a photograph or another painting, whatever it is, you would just use that as your guide and draw that in. So I'm drawing in the windows on the door, and this is a doorway going in. So it's set back a little bit. So there's a little bit of a alcove in here. And then we're going to go with, there's going to be a little bit of a canopy over the doorway area, just in case it rains. There's a little more coverage, so people coming out onto the street here can have a little bit of coverage from the rain or drizzle. So there's a little bit of this canopy over the top, and it protrudes out from the wall. And then we're going to go with there's a window over here. And the same thing, I'm just drawing the rectangle, and then the same architectural design is here on this window as here. It's like a winged header made of stone. And I'll draw another rectangle inside to make a little bit of a window frame, and then we can just do the same thing. We'll make some window panes here. And we have up here, actually right about here, is a hanging light. Okay, so that's a little hanging light here. That's going to cast a shadow. And this casts a shadow too, so I'm going to draw in my shadow lines. So you can see here, I'm going to draw the shadow lines in, and since I'll just do a couple little lines to remember to put shadow here when we're painting. That's good to remember, just to add a little bit of notes on your paper. And I'll put a shadow line over here, just to remember there. Couple lines. And we'll have a sill under here. A bit of shadow under the sill. And up here, we'll do another window up here. And then another window over here. Same size. You could use a straight edge, like a ruler, like this if you just want to make sure they line up. That looks good if they're going to line up correctly, like that. So the bottoms of the windows line up correctly on the top windows here. So they're sort of on the same level. And we'll make these a little more less detailed. And the thought behind this is when we're doing a painting, we can leave some areas with more details, and then other areas in the painting we can just let them be a little more loose and abstract looking. So this way there is some focus to the painting. So if we made careful details on every single thing we're going to draw, that would look less interesting. Whereas if we have some key interesting features in our painting that are more detailed and have more color and intensity, and then other parts of our painting, if they have a little less intensity with colors and or more loose or abstract in feel, that'll look a little better. It'll give us sort of a breathing effect of our painting where some parts are intense, some parts are real mellow, and just, you know, they're there, but they're not really super intense. So that's a really good thing to remember with when we're doing a scene like this. Some areas we make real intense and exciting, and then other areas we kind of just let be a little bit mellow. So there we go. We have our doorway. We have a canopy here. And we have a couple windows up here, a light fixture, and that's good. All right, so we did our drawing. Then we can take a break for 10-15 minutes, let ourselves relax a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll continue to paint. All right, we're back for more fun. Let's get right back into it. Oh yeah, I just meant to say that if you like the video so far, if you could give it a like for me, as well as if please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed. We do videos every week. We do all kinds of interesting watercolor videos. So I'm constantly bringing new content to my YouTube channel. So we do all different types of watercolor art. So we'll do landscapes, seascapes. We'll do a little bit of figure painting once in a while. We cover all the facets of watercolor. So you're going to always have different videos to choose from. You can go back. I have over 200 videos in my archives on my YouTube channel. So you can go back and browse through there. You'll find some interesting things. A mixture of all kinds of watercolor art. And as well, each week we're doing brand new videos for you. So again, if you can subscribe, you'll get, and you can also click the bell when you subscribe, and this way you'll always know when each week I send out a new video, and it's usually around the weekend. So on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, each new video comes out weekly. All right, and let's get into it. I just meant to say too, my paper here is Fabriano watercolor paper. It's Artistico Bright White. It's got a little bit of not a real super rough finish to it, but it does have a little bit of a textured finish to it. So it's a nice cross between smooth and real rough paper. And of course, if you're practicing, sometimes you can use less expensive paper, but if you're going to do like a real, let's say a finished painting, you would definitely want to use like a good paper like Fabriano or Arches or I think Buckingford is a really good paper. So there's a lot of good papers out there too. But I would say always try to use the best paper you can when you're doing a finished painting. It makes life a lot easier when you're painting. Okay, I'm going to get my brush. I'm just going to use a round brush. This is a Da Vinci travel brush. It's a number 6 we'll start with, and then it's really cool. You can, if you're going to take your watercolor gear out on location, if you're going to go out or you're going to travel somewhere on vacation or whatever it is, you can just put these into the caps and close them up and seal them. And they have a little air ventilation on the end of the tube, so your brush won't get moldy or anything. And then when you're ready to paint, you can just put the handle on They work great. Excellent quality. Okay, so we have our paint here. So what we're going to do, let's start out with some fun. Let's do some, and you know what, before we do anything, let's just clean up our palette a little bit. Always good to do that before we start a new painting, or when we're starting another session. If we take a break, we come back, we clean up our palette a little bit. Now, I'm going to take some yellow ochre, burnt sienna, raw umber, and then here next to that I'm going to do cerulean blue, cobalt blue, and a little bit of French ultramarine blue, and a little bit of mineral violet we'll do over here, and we'll mix in some viridian green, like that. And we'll start out maybe a little bit of cadmium lemon yellow there. So I'm just getting onto the palette some colors I'm going to use, and we're going to have some fun right from the start. So we'll take a little bit of the yellow ochre and raw umber, and we're just going to tap and splash on some speckles of paint, some spattering around. Okay, then we'll do a little bit of the blue. Let's mix up some blue with some of the gold. A little bit of a grayish color. Do the same thing. We'll splash some colors on. Then maybe what we'll do is we'll make a couple rectangles on our paper anywhere you want, just random. That's going to give us the feel of a brick or two or some stone. So you could just anywhere in this space where there's no real drawing going on with pencil marks, we can do some couple squares, a couple rectangles with that grayish type mixture. You can do a couple with the raw umber and yellow ochre as well. So again, just a couple rectangle type shapes. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can mix those colors around a little bit. We could use a little bit of the mineral violet, purple color, and mix that in with some of the, so you can charge some other colors into those rectangles that you make too, to give it more of an interesting look. We did some purple, like that. That should be good. And then if you want to even have more interesting feel for that, you can tap up some of that paint with a tissue here and there, just a little tap. Same thing with the speckles. You can tap up with the tissue, pick up a little bit of paint. All right, so right from the start here, we have some interesting things going on our paper, and that's a positive. And then maybe a little bit of that lemon color. Let's just put a little bit of that on the wall. Maybe with a little bit of cadmium orange. That's going to give us that bright, sunny feel, but you want to go real super light with that. Just a touch of color and water on there. And scrub that on just a little bit in one or two spots. We definitely want to leave a lot of white paper on this. So a little more yellow over here maybe. Just like that. Maybe like 3 spots, and then a little bit over here too. There we go. Okay. Now we'll start to work on, maybe we'll work on the doorway here. Let's go with our door, and we'll go with some burnt umber, some burnt sienna, and we'll We'll put a little bit of French ultramarine blue, so we're going to make this a darker color. And then up higher here in the doorway, it's going to be darker. And then as we move down on our door here, it'll be a little bit not as dark. So that'll be a little darker there. And I'll make some square shapes. Maybe some cobalt blue in there. So I'll charge in some cobalt blue. No need to be too fussy with this. We're just trying to get that feel of the glass in the door. And since the glass panes in that door are going to pick up some outside light and blue sky maybe a little bit, and then we'll go with some raw umber. So now we're going to go with a little lighter wood finish, and there we go. And a little mineral violet and some of the French ultramarine blue, and that'll be up here. Just to give it that cool, dark feel in the doorway there. And we'll pretend that that's the doorway, and then we'll leave these steps we're going to leave white. Maybe we'll put a little shadow on them. A little darker. Like that. Okay. All right, so that's already, we have some really good, and always remember, we have some good information now, some really good exciting colors and information now on our painting here. And always remember too, you can let this dry for a while and then you can go back in and add another glazing if you want. So if you don't get everything perfect on your first pass on this doorway here, you don't worry about that. You let it dry completely, and then you go back in and you might add a little darker, some darker lines to maybe define the doorway a little more, or put a handle on there. But the main thing, of course, I always say in watercolor is, you have to let the washes dry completely and then go back in and add something over them. So you always want to sort of be moving from one section to another in your painting and letting things dry. Definitely a big key point. And now here we're going to do a less, now this is a little easier here. We're going to just do our window up here. And maybe there's some shutters on there. And that's good. Let's let that be as it is. Nothing too fancy. We'll go over again maybe when it's dry with another detail or two. And we'll do the same thing over here. Again, I'm just going to do a quick wash here, very light. So remember, these are really light washes on these two windows up here. And this doorway down here is a very darker shadowy area under the inside this doorway. So we just remember that, and we'll put some lines. This would be for that shutter feel, but we're not going to get too detailed with that. Just a couple indications of. Okay, and then we can go in over here and some cobalt blue and purple. And we'll do just some small squares for our window panes. Now I dry my brush on the tissue and make this a little bit more of a shadow here. And again, I'm making the square shapes. We'll back to our purple color. We could make a cerulean blue here. Variation. I dry my brush a little bit. With very detailed areas like this, it's good to dry the brush and then go in and do some work, because too much water on here will just make everything all you won't be able to get that nice detail on the windows. And we'll take some of that blue. And let's leave that a little bit underfinished. A couple splashes. And here's underneath the stone sill. So we have a stone sill under here. A little shadow there. And the same thing over here. So I'm putting the shadow on this side over here of the header and the sill, window sill down here. These are stone. The light's again coming from this direction, so we're going to have that natural shadow. We could put some blue into that too. And then along the window, some shadow there. And then we could add some variation to that shadow. And some more shadow here along this side. So as you can see, this is really coming along well. We're doing a couple areas of detail and then loose areas here where there's really not a lot of detail, but it's still some information, which makes it look interesting. So we can add a little shadow over here. Same thing here. We could add a little warm colors, raw umber, yellow ochre, mix in some warm and cool together. And burnt umber, a little bit of French ultramarine blue. And we'll do a shadow here. Some blue. And then the same thing here. This is a larger shadow since it's a canopy. So we'll mix some blue, purple, and we'll just go across with a nice shadow there. And then while it's still damp, let's go in, we'll add a little warmth to it. A little yellow ochre. put a little yellow ochre in there, and that really dresses it up good, the shadow. So the shadow's not going to be just a boring blue or purple one time across. Let's add in some interesting colors. And put some blue there, and usually the shadows are darker. Over here. I made some pencil lines up here. I'm just going to erase those a little bit. Okay. So we've gotten a lot of detail now. Let's work on the light. We'll make some, we'll use our needlepoint brush as well. When we do our light, since there's some really fine detail on this light, we'll use our needlepoint brush. So that's the next brush we'll bring in to work with here to do some of the finer detail work on this hanging lamp. So we'll get this dark, so let's go with French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. We'll make a nice dark, almost like a black. And we'll tap some paint off that so we don't add too much water. There we go. And then we use our needlepoint brush. And the same thing, when we use a needlepoint brush, we'll tap off some of the paint just to get it a little drier. And then we'll put our fixture wire or chain that they have for that. And we have a couple little details there. So, and again, not too much detail. That's good. We'll let that dry, and then we'll put a shadow in next to the lamp. Okay, well, let's say this. While this dries a little bit, our lamp, we can go in and we'll do a little detail. So on our windows here, so we're going to use some of that darker mixture we made with a little more water, so it's not as dark. And then we'll just put a line here, and then maybe a couple shutter lines, just to like that. Not everywhere, just in a few places. And that should be enough. All right, looking good. All right, so now we'll do a shadow. Again, we're starting to get a lot of mixtures on the palette, so let's just do a quick cleanup here. That's okay. That should be good. Okay, let's do some purple, some cobalt blue, and purple. And then some raw umber here and some yellow ochre. A little bit of warmth in there. All right. And let's see here. Let's do I'm doing a couple angle shadows, just of things maybe catching the light a little bit here and there. It's nice to have a couple angles in the painting like this. And okay. And let's add in a few more things. But for right now, let's take a break. We've been working about 20 minutes, so let's take a break. And then we'll come back and maybe we'll add a few more interesting things into this, or maybe we'll just let this be as it is. But it's a good time just to take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Okay, and a break is always good. We took a break, 10 minutes or so, and we just added in with a little bit of pencil a couple more details to this composition. So what I did was I added this planter, so it's like a pot alongside this doorway with some plants. So I just made a little indication of that. We'll add that in. Another small pot here. Flower pot with some flowers next to this window, as well as maybe a flag alongside the window here. And as well up here, I did another flag alongside this window. So people are patriotic here, and they open their windows and they have flags. Maybe it was we could pretend in our minds, we just create in our minds a little scenario of maybe this was around the holidays or some time where there was a celebration and people have a little more interesting things with their windows and some flags and just some more interesting things to add into this story as we're doing this painting. And again, it's improvisation. You can do these things. That's why I took a break and sat back and just looked at the painting and said, well, can I add a few more things that'll make it a little more exciting? It looks good the way it is, but adding these few extra details will definitely make a more of an interesting feel for the overall painting. So we'll get into this. We'll paint. And again, these are just a quick flower pot here, a small flower pot here, which is basically a rectangle with just a little bit of an angle going outwards like that, and then just like a mushroom effect of flowers. And then the flags are just a simple pole with a little bit of the flag itself with the cloth just hanging down, very loosely drawn. And I thought too we'd add a shadow here along the street line just to make this a little more interesting at the base of the painting. So maybe we'll do that last so we don't lean into our paint on the bottom of the painting here. Let's start off maybe up top. Let's make this one, we'll make this red, alizarin crimson and cadmium red. Straight paint. And that's all. Just a little indication of a flag there. And let's do another. We were pretending this is maybe an English or British scene, so we could do maybe a British style flag, just a little bit of a. And then we could use our needlepoint brush. We'll use our needlepoint brush and we'll go in and get some cobalt blue straight paint. And we'll do some lines. Straight paint. Like that. And we make it loose, just so it looks like it has some movement to it. There's some wind. And let's do our potted plants. These are more simple. We're just going to go with some cadmium orange, straight paint, really no water. A little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of cad red, and there we go. And the same over here. Then what we can do is maybe get a little bit of light on there. We could lift up a little bit of paint with our tissue. And then we can add in a little bit of cobalt blue for the shadow side. Then we clean off the brush, tap off some of the water. And this way we have a shadow side to that. And then let's go straight into the paint, no water. And just some nice green, sap green, olive green. I clean off my brush and then go into some cobalt blue. Then we're going to use our needlepoint brush maybe, and we'll go in and get some cadmium lemon yellow and cadmium yellow. And we'll mix it around in there a little bit and then just massage the paint around a little bit here like so, just to give us some interesting, nothing too fancy, just kind of scribble around, scribble and scribble and scribble, and then you have it. Then we can go in and get some cadmium red, straight paint, no water. And we can dab in a few colors of red here for flowers. Then we could dry our brush off, clean our brush, dry our brush off on the paper towel. And we could add some cadmium orange flowers. A couple here and there. That should be good. Then I would do, just for fun, I would take a little olive green, mix it in with that yellow. Maybe a little more cadmium yellow, like that. Then I would get some of that, and I would just do a little tapping of the brush to give a little more feel of flowers with the, and that's all. Maybe a little mineral violet, purple color in the flowers too by the shadow side here. Then we'll get some shadow color here, just a little bit on the, like that there too. And what else can we do? Okay, we could take some, we'll make another dark mixture, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Dry off our brush. And we'll just do our we'll do our flagpoles here and like that. Okay, let's also some shadowing for these. So I'll just do that. Then I'll go in and get some just variation. This here too. Shadowing for this. And then I would go in and get some yellow ochre just for some variation again in the shadows. And I'll take some of that dark we made before and then just and again, we can always add a few darks here and there. Carefully, not too many, so I'm just going to go with a few. Then just a few lines on the door there. Burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, a nice dark. And then I dry off the needlepoint brush a little bit. Then we can make a little handle here on the door. Like that. Maybe another darker line here. And that's all. And then we said we were going to, let's do this, a little bit of trim around the windows. Over here I noticed. Then we take a little bit of, again we're always trying to maybe just a little bit of variation on things to break up monotonous looking washes. And that should be good. And then we'll go with burnt umber and yellow ochre and a little bit of this mixture, and we'll do a just a line across here for the curbing on the street. We're going to change the colors a little bit, blue, cerulean blue, so it looks like almost like a grayish mixture. Like that. Then what we do is we get that darker mixture again. And just a couple, maybe a little burnt umber. Just a couple of spots, just here and there. And then a little bit of water and like that. And then maybe a little, that's yellow ochre and cerulean blue and a little bit of the purple. And that will be just at the base of the wall, so that we kind of show that there's the sidewalk and then the wall, like that. And maybe another. Like that. Okay, that's pretty much perfect. Again, we can do a little more splashing if we want. And then we could do a couple more burnt sienna, burnt umber. Maybe a little bit of cerulean blue. And a couple lines for that feeling of like stone or brick. There's always those lines. They would correspond with the rectangles. So at the bottom and the tops of the rectangles would be your cement joints. that would go across like that. So that can always be a way to get that feel of brick and stone and things like that. And a couple bricks maybe. And now it's time to avoid going too much with too many extra splashes and bricks and things, but that's pretty much perfect. That's right where we want this. We can, again, take another break, and if we had to, we could do a couple little minor things to make it look a little better. Here I think I need a shadow. There, like that. All right, I hope everyone enjoyed this. Again, please thumbs up if you like this video. Again, subscribe. Consider subscribing. Every week we do brand new videos, and we'll be back next week. And hope everyone has a happy and fun time doing their paintings and trying this one especially. This one, try it, please. It's a lot of fun. A lot of great techniques we can use and that we did use in this painting. And we can even we can zoom in on this a little, so we see the final. Okay. And we'll zoom in and see if we can get a little better look here.